Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And it's another one of those hold on to your hats videos, because what I'm about to tell you should again get you very angry. We did a video earlier about the protection of women, transgender threats to women being put, where men with mental issues want access to female only spaces. And J.K. Rowling was complaining about this, and right so she was, because the degenerates don't want the reality to impinge upon their views. They don't want to acknowledge that actual biological men pose a direct threat to women, particularly vulnerable women. They don't want to admit it. It's true, we all know it's true, but they don't like that fact, so they try to cover it up and hide it. And hide it they're about to do, because there's been a move that will remove from people the right to know certain things. They're trying to cover up, to hide, to ensure you don't know. And whenever a government wants to hide things from the people, it's never for a good reason. It's because they know that you won't like it. And what they're about to hide away is the fact that they are, once again, going to put vulnerable women at risk deliberately by their policy. Let's have a look. So before we get in, once again, I do implore you to hit that subscribe button, because it massively helps the channel. Because we're pushed down, if you subscribe, we get out wider, we get out louder, and they cannot hide stuff, because things like this, people become aware of things like this. Scottish prison chiefs must scrap their indefensible plans to suppress data on trans inmates. They want to hide everything. They don't want you to know what's going on, because the last time the people knew that you were putting dangerous men into women's prisons, there was an outcry, and they didn't like it. They don't like the outcry. They want to ensure that women can be put in to a place knowing a man, a dangerous man perhaps, will be put in there with them, because that suits the agenda. What they don't like is the fact that people reject their agenda. And so rather than stop doing what they're doing, they simply cover it up, hide it, make it impossible for you to find out, and then do it anyway. And when women are attacked in prison, it'll all be hushed up and covered up, because there's no men in this prison. They're all women, because they were calling these grown men with their huge manly bits women. From next month, the Scottish Prison Service will no longer release information on where men are being held, with MSPs warning the real motivation is to keep the public in the dark in the event of another Isla Bryson scandal. They are now deliberately covering up the fact that they're going to put dangerous men into prisons with women. And if you don't know, then you won't get angry. And so they're not releasing it, they're hiding it, they're being shady. And real women, biological women, are going to pay the price for these mentally ill, deranged, dangerous predators who want access to vulnerable women, and who now, by the state, will be granted access to vulnerable women, and they're going to keep it a secret, because we mustn't let anyone know what we are doing to women. Scottish prison chiefs are being urged to scrap plans to suppress the number of men allowed to serve time in female jails. It can be revealed. The Scottish Prison Service is insisting it will no longer publish quarterly figures on where these men are located when its new transgender management policy officially takes place next month. If you're someone who has a female relative in prison, you need to be aware of this, and you need to let them know that they could be locked in a cell with a man overnight. And nobody, the guards are so few in number, nobody's going to be able to do anything when he puts his hand over your mouth and does exactly what he wants. And you are powerless to stop it, and no one is going to come to your aid. The Scottish Government are quite literally about to aid the R of women. They are knowing in advance now, because everyone's going to tell them, they know in advance this is going to happen. So if it happens, and it will, they need to stand in the dock too, because they have done their very best to ensure that this happens. There's no safeguarding, there's no security. What they're doing is putting dangerous men into prisons with women. The Scottish Prison Service claims doing so, i.e. releasing this information, risks identification of those involved. I don't care about their identification. They are criminals. We need to know who they are and where they are. We need to be protected from them. And those vulnerable women in prison definitely need to be protected from them. Will the women in that prison be told that there's a man going in there? Because then if they are, then those women can tell everyone else outside, can't they? And then it will come out anyway. Critics say the change means the SPS is deliberately avoiding legitimate scrutiny of a controversial and inherently dangerous policy in respect of female inmates. The government know it's dangerous. The prison service know it's dangerous. Everybody knows it's dangerous, but they still want to do it because there's those degenerate few in the SNP and in the Greens particularly who say that pretendy Wendy's, men who pretend they're women, have the right to be regarded as women. We all have to go along with their illusion. And if a few women get attacked, who knows, even murdered, well, that's just the price you have to pay for this kind of thing. Critics will say the public will in future be kept in the dark about how many potentially violent trans men, let's just say men, how many violent men are being allowed to serve time alongside vulnerable women. Scottish Conservative Shadow Justice Secretary Russell Finley said, SNP ministers seem happy at the suppression of crucial data about male-bodied prisoners, why not just say men, in women's jails. And in the absence of any credible explanation for doing so, it is hard not to conclude that the real motivation is to keep the public in the dark in the event of another Isla Bryson scandal, or worse. Women will get attacked in prison. Women will get hard and probably emmed by a man in prison. Because it doesn't matter what they call themselves. It doesn't matter what they dress. It doesn't matter what they pretend in their delusional minds. They're men, and that's it. That's it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about these women. The SNP don't care about these women. The SNP, for the SNP, women are a problem. Because it's all about pushing the agenda. I think if these men really want to be women, and they want to go to women's jail, their cocks need to be in jars. And until that happens, they go to a male jail. Mr. Finley added, I strongly suspect that Scotland's determined women rights campaigners will not accept this further shift towards secrecy. Guarantee J.K. Rowling, what's her name? Why is my thing flicking there? I guarantee J.K. Rowling, Maya Forstater and all the others and all these groups will definitely be having something to say about this. They will definitely be up in arms. Dr. Kate Coleman of the Keep Prisons Single Sex campaign said that comments from the SPS Chief Executive, Theresa Medhurst, and Justice Secretary Angela Constance during their grilling by MSPs at Holyrood on the new trans policy last week provided no reassurance whatsoever. Did the video on that, and we did say even then, the head of the prison service said she could not guarantee that violent men would not be locked up with women. Well, she needs to be able to guarantee it, surely. Dr. Coleman said, I found it particularly disingenuous when they brushed aside the perfectly reasonable and rational questions of why the SPS had not decided to replicate the protection for women in prison implemented by the Ministry of Justice. That is, to exclude any male prisoner convicted of any violent or sexual offence. I would say no, go further. Any male prisoner. That's it. End of story. No man ever to go into a woman's prison as a prisoner. Doesn't care. I don't care how many frocks he owns. I don't care how much lippy he slaps on his ugly fat face. If you are a male, you are a male. And that's it. And we do not pander to your delusional fantasies, your sexual desires to wank yourself silly wearing a frock because it's autogynephilia. That's all this is. Maybe 1 in a million men are actually trans, truly trans, but they're not. All these lot are all horned up from wearing women's clothes. Anyway, apparently in Scotland, the context in Scotland mandates a different approach, but this is contrary to all available international evidence on offending and risk. In other words, every other country in the world doesn't do it. They do it in Scotland because they want to be different, and they just basically want to say, hey, women, we don't care. If you are hard or killed, that's the price they are worth, they think is worth paying. She said that she agreed with Mr Finley and Labour's Justice spokeswoman Pauline McNeill concerning the implications of withholding the data required in order to scrutinise the policy, adding they were quite correct and the job of the Criminal Justice Committee and the legislator more widely has been made impossible. I simply do not accept the explanation given that data protection legislation means the data can no longer be released. That's bullshit. Particularly when we consider that SPS publishes annual data on deaths in custody, which includes the prisoner's full name, date of death and cause of death. It's hard to reconcile publication of this data with a refusal to publish anonymised data on the allocation of men pretending to be women in jails. This is outrageous. It needs to be objected to at every stage, and I do hope every single person raises their hands and says, no, we do not pander to these mentally ill, dangerous predators. I'm coming up. Now, you are going to get the degenerate tossers, you know, the likes of Maggot Chapman and things like that, who will say, oh, it's no threat at all. It's all very fine and pleasant. Ask these people, would they be willing to lock their daughters in a cell with a man like that for 23 hours a day for 5 years? Would they be happy for that? And if they say yes, then those people don't deserve to have children. Those people are sick, degenerate, perverted. As indeed is everyone who's pushing this. Everyone who's pushing this as a policy is a sick, degenerate pervert. They are predators and they're peds. It's all the P stands for in SNP. They need to go. Women need to be protected. Not only from the men that do this crime, but from the SNP that is forcing this on them, that will lead undoubtedly and for sure to the R of women in prison and possibly even the M. The women will be murdered in those cells. Of that, there is no doubt. Thank you very much for watching. This is a bit of a hard story, so I do apologise for if you found this hard. But it is absolutely disgusting that these people think that this is right. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well. Please reject this at every turn and make people know that this is wrong. Share this video, make sure people know. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.